Assalamu alaikum. Over the past 24 hours, the international agenda has intensified significantly. Across various regions, political statements, sharp decisions, and unexpected developments have unfolded one after another. We aim to present these key events to you clearly and objectively. I am Jehingir Murtazayev, and together with Dayagul Sangiz, we begin today's broadcast. Israel has begun a forced evacuation in Gaza. Following the collapse of the ceasefire in October, the Israeli army issued orders on March 1st for the forced displacement of Palestinian families in the southern Gaza Strip. More than 70 families have reportedly been evacuated. Humanitarian organizations warn that this evacuation is placing severe pressure on civilians and further worsening the already dire humanitarian situation. According to Israeli authorities, the evacuations are being carried out due to concerns over possible militant attacks. However, since the ceasefire ended, Israel has conducted several airstrikes, resulting in hundreds of casualties. Most recently, the Israeli army ordered Palestinian families living in the Ar-Raqib neighborhood of Bani Suhaila in southern Gaza to evacuate immediately. Local residents and border sources report that Israeli forces distributed urgent warnings ordering people to leave the area at once. These notices were written in Arabic, Hebrew, and English. According to Reuters, this marks the first forced evacuation since the ceasefire collapsed, affecting more than 70 families and approximately 3,000 people. Most of those displaced are now living in makeshift shelters, tents, or destroyed homes. Israeli officials describe the evacuations as necessary security measures, while critics argue they constitute collective punishment of civilians. Meanwhile, Ukraine's energy infrastructure has come under heavy missile attacks. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, Russia launched 339 aerial weapons, including 18 Iskander-M ballistic missiles, 15 Kh-101 cruise missiles, and one Zircon missile fired from naval platforms. 5 missiles and 24 drones hit their targets, while others were intercepted. The primary target was Kyiv. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko stated that due to the attacks, heating was cut off in 5,632 residential buildings. Temperatures in Kyiv have dropped below minus 10 degrees Celsius, and the emergency power outages are continuing. Ukraine's largest private energy company, DTEK, reported that around 173,000 residents in the capital remain without electricity. Due to power shortages, the Kyiv metro is operating under restrictions, with trains running at intervals of 20 to 25 minutes on certain lines. Several regions, including Vinnytsia, Dnipropetrovsk, and Odesa, Zaporizhzhia, Poltava, and Sumy, were also hit. Emergency blackout schedules have been implemented across these areas. President Volodymyr Zelensky said more than 1 million consumers in Kyiv were left without power. Additionally, over 4,000 residential buildings in the capital remain without heating. Mayor Klitschko described the situation as extremely difficult, especially since many buildings are over 90 years old. Following the attacks, Germany's International Cooperation Society announced it would deliver 2 mobile heating power stations to Kyiv next week. Syria. Syria has given Kurdish forces 4 days to join the government. On January 20th, the Syrian government declared a ceasefire with Kurdish forces controlling areas in the country's northeast. Authorities set a 4-day deadline for Kurdish groups to decide on integration into the central government. The main Kurdish political alliance is reportedly reviewing the proposal. Recent advances by government forces and Washington's decision to reduce support for areas controlled by the Syrian Democratic Forces marks the most significant shift in power in Syria in the past 13 months. The U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, Tom Barrack, stated that the proposed integration plan includes guarantees of civil rights, cultural autonomy, and political participation for Kurds, describing it as a major opportunity. He added that U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces would gradually reduce their role, as Washington has no long-term interest in remaining in Syria. In Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump praised the Syrian President Ahmad al-Shaara's actions during a press conference. Commenting on cooperation over detention camps in northeastern Syria, Trump stated, "I don't particularly like the Kurds, but you have to understand that they've received enormous amounts of money, oil, and resources. They work for themselves, not for us. Nevertheless, we maintain good relations with the Kurds and are working to protect them." He warned that detention camps holding ISIS prisoners pose a serious concern to the international community. On January 19th, following the withdrawal of Syrian Democratic Forces from the Shadabi prison, nearly 150 ISIS fighters escaped. According to Syria's Interior Ministry, 120 escapees were recaptured, 81 of whom detained by government forces. Your proposal to replace the United Nations with a peace board. The UN hasn't been very helpful. I'm a big fan of its potential, but it has never fully exercised its authority. The UN should be stopping wars before they begin. In my view, it should be allowed to exist, but it must fulfill its responsibilities. Trump said that the temporary peace council established after his re-election is effectively challenging the role of the United Nations. On January 16th, he invited world leaders to join the new initiative, describing it as a more efficient global crisis management mechanism. Membership reportedly requires a contribution of $1 billion. While some officials have welcomed the initiative, experts argue it could rival the UN Security Council established after World War II. UN official Maxime Pribakov acknowledged shortcomings within the organization, but stressed that reform, not abolition, is necessary. Tensions surrounding the Peace Council have further strained relations between Trump and European leaders, especially amid his refusal to rule out military pressure over Greenland. On January 19th, a senior French official close to President Emmanuel Macron said France currently has no intention of joining the council. Trump responded sharply, telling journalists, "No one wants him there. He'll be out of office soon anyway. I'll impose a 200% tariff on French wine and champagne. Eventually, you'll come around." We will continue to bring you the most important global developments. Stay with us. Until our next short break.